From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.
Good day. Radio Pilipinas World Service can also be heard on shortwave broadcast through the shortwave facilities of the United States Agency for Global Media or Voice of America on the following shortwave frequencies: 12.020 MHz, 15.640 MHz, and 17.665 MHz. I'm your host, Leo Magpayo, and this is Dateline Malacañang. Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. shared some big news about the country's energy future. The Camago 3 well in the Malampaya gas field has been successfully drilled, and early tests show it can produce a strong flow of natural gas. In simple terms, this means the Philippines can rely more on its own energy and less on expensive imported fuel. According to the President, Camago 3 is a major win. It's part of the ongoing Malampaya Phase 4 expansion and is even bigger than the first discovery announced earlier this year. Together, these new wells could stretch Malampaya's life by about 6 more years, a huge boost for Luzon, which gets up to a fifth of its electricity from this single gas field. President Marcos also broke down what this means for ordinary Filipinos: more stable power and potentially lower electricity costs. Gas from Malampaya is much cheaper than imported LNG, so every kilowatt hour produced locally helps ease the burden on households and small businesses. The chief executive added that this progress comes at a crucial time with global fuel prices unstable due to tensions in the Middle East. To keep the momentum going, new pipelines will be installed under the sea, the first upgrade of this kind in more than 2 decades. If all goes according to plan, the country could start receiving gas from the new well by late 2026. And the work isn't stopping there. Another well, fittingly named Bagong Pag-asa, is already in development. President Marcos Jr. framed the project as a step toward energy independence, a way to protect Filipinos from rising global fuel prices and secure a more reliable power supply for the years ahead.
My fellow Filipinos, today I am proud to announce another step forward in our mission to secure affordable, reliable energy for every Filipino. The Camago 3 well has been successfully drilled and tested, producing up to 60 million standard cubic feet of gas per day. It is the second major milestone under our $893 million Malampaya Phase 4 campaign, and it is significantly larger than our first. Camago 3 holds an estimated 2.5 times more recoverable gas than the Malampaya East 1 discovery. So together, these 2 wells are projected to extend the life of the Malampaya gas field by an estimated 6 years. Ano naman ang ibig sabihin nito para sa inyo? It means more power, steadier power, and cheaper power. Malampaya gas costs us roughly 4 pesos and 80 centavos per kilowatt hour. Imported LNG costs 10 pesos and 30 centavos, more than double. Every unit of power we generate from Malampaya instead of imported fuel is money saved by households, by small businesses, by every Filipino that pays an electric bill. Alam natin lahat kung gaano kahalaga ito ngayon. Ang kaguluhan sa Middle East ay nagdudulot ng matinding pabago-bago sa presyo ng gasolina sa buong mundo. Kaya naman, ginawa natin ang lahat para masiguro na may sarili tayong supply ng enerhiya upang maibsan ang epekto ng kaguluhan nito sa pang-araw-araw na buhay ng ating mga kababayan. For the first time since the year 2000, new subsea pipelines are being laid in Philippine waters. Ibig sabihin, may bagong tubo na itinatanim sa ilalim ng dagat para maihatid ang gas mula sa pinagkukuhanan patungo sa ating mga tahanan at negosyo. We are not just extending a gas field. We are rebuilding our energy infrastructure from the ground up. We are targeting first gas delivery by the fourth quarter of 2026, and we are not stopping there. The next well, Bagong Pag-asa, sits 30 kilometers north of Malampaya and is already in the works. This is indigenous energy. It is ours. This is our future, and it is how we protect every Filipino from the burden of rising global fuel prices.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
In other developments, the Philippines has received 22.58 million liters of diesel, boosting the country's fuel inventory as global supply remains threatened by the conflict in the Middle East. In a statement posted Thursday evening, the Department of Energy, or DOE, said the shipment, equivalent to around 142,000 barrels, was secured under the government's 20 billion peso Emergency Energy Security Program, created under Executive Order, or EO 110, which placed the country under a national energy emergency. The government is targeting up to 2 million barrels of additional fuel through the Philippine National Oil Corporation, or PNOC, and PNOC Exploration Corporation. Energy Secretary Sharon Garin said the DOE continues to work to ensure stable supply, noting that the swift arrival of the diesel shipment helps prevent disruptions to transportation, livelihoods, and daily activities. Garin added that this is the first overseas delivery, with more shipments expected in the coming days and weeks.
Dateline Malacañang.
Farmers in Isabela Province are getting a major boost as Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Thursday inspected newly completed post-harvest facilities designed to end roadside palay drying and prevent onion spoilage in the province. The president visited the Ambatali warehouse with multi-purpose drying pavement and the Ramon Onion cold storage facility, projects turned over to farmers in the municipality of Ramon. Hundreds of farmers welcomed him with cheers as he toured the site, greeting them and taking photos before inspecting the structures. Assisted by Agriculture Secretary Francisco Chu Laurel Jr. and local officials, the president reviewed the facilities expected to benefit around 1,500 farmers from Isabela and Nueva Vizcaya provinces. The Department of Agriculture, or DA, said the cold storage can hold up to 20,000 bags of onions, preventing the loss of 4,000 to 7,000 bags and ensuring steady market supply and higher farmer income. The government acknowledges that the lack of storage has long forced farmers to sell at low prices or suffer spoilage. Meanwhile, the Ambatali warehouse can store 14,000 kavans of palay and dry up to 3,625 sacks per cycle, eliminating the risky practice of drying grains along highways, which often leads to damage and lower prices. The government is also rolling out fuel and fertilizer subsidies, along with financial aid under the Presidential Assistance to Farmers, Fisherfolk, and Families program. The DA is coordinating with Isabela's local government unit for additional support to strengthen the province's agricultural output.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Thursday led the turnover of two new ambulances to boost health services in Cabanatuan, Isabela Province, underscoring the administration's push to expand medical access in underserved communities. The president personally handed over the keys to the patient transport vehicles or PTVs during a brief stop at the Cabanatuan Super Health Center or SHC in San Andres Town, where he was joined by House Speaker Boji D, Governor Rodito Albano, and Vice Governor Kiko D. Local officials and health workers, led by Mayor Charlton Liu Uy and SHC head Dr. Ria Blanca Francisco, welcomed the chief executive as crowds of patients and residents cheered upon his arrival. After the turnover, President Marcos spoke briefly with doctors, nurses, midwives, and patients, acknowledging their frontline role before touring the new facility. The ambulances, provided by the Philippine Charity Sweepstakes Office and turned over to the provincial government, are expected to strengthen emergency response and improve patient transport, especially in far-flung villages. Cabanatuan's Super Health Center currently serves up to 100 patients daily, and officials say the additional vehicles will significantly ease the burden on local medical teams and ensure faster access to care.
Dateline Malacañang.
Malacañang on Thursday assured the public that essential government services will remain fully operational despite the implementation of energy-saving measures prompted by the Middle East crisis and its impact on global oil supply. Executive Secretary Ralph Recto said frontline agencies, including health, police, fire, and emergency response units, are not covered by the 4-day on-site work arrangement meant to cut government energy use. Recto stressed that the president's directive is clear. Vital services must continue without interruption. He added that while these agencies are expected to conserve energy, such measures should never compromise public safety or emergency operations. He explained that the government's energy reduction push aims to redirect resources to critical operations. Support and auxiliary offices, including regional units, must reduce energy consumption by 20% under Memorandum Circular 114. However, Recto clarified that fuel supplies for emergency vehicles such as ambulances, fire trucks, and police patrol cars are exempt from any cutbacks to ensure uninterrupted response capability.
Dateline Malacañang.
The palace is asking everyone to stay united and level-headed as the country deals with energy issues, reminding the public that this isn't the time for political fights or misinformation. Presidential Communications Office Undersecretary Claire Castro said the government is doing everything it can to help Filipinos cope, and that cooperation, not division, will make the biggest difference now. She urged people to avoid spreading false claims, saying it only adds confusion at a time when clarity is needed most. Castro also stressed that the administration isn't playing favorites. Programs like Metro Rail Transit or MRT and Light Rail Transit or LRT fare discounts, libreng sakay, and other forms of assistance are meant to help the public as a whole. Transport workers were prioritized early on, rather early on, simply because they were hit first and hardest, she explained, but support is being balanced across different sectors. Her remarks came a day after President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. detailed the government's broader response to the Middle East conflict. More than 2,000 overseas Filipino workers, or OFWs, have already been brought home and given food, shelter, and other aid. Drivers and operators have received financial help, toll and airfare discounts have been rolled out, and more Kadiwa stores have opened to keep rice affordable. Farmers and fisherfolk are also getting fuel and fertilizer subsidies, while local government units, or LGUs, have been given free rice to distribute in their communities. To speed things up, the President has declared a national energy emergency, a move meant to fast-track fuel procurement and ensure government agencies are working in sync.
Lahat po tayo, walang pinipili ang Pangulo. Nabibiyayaan na po. Kung kayo po ay sumasakay sa MRT, sa LRT, kayo po ay nabibiyayaan ng 50% discount. At may mga libreng sakay po tayo na maaaring ma-avail ng ating mga kababayan. Nauna lang po talagang bigyan ang nasa transport sector dahil sila po yung unang tinamaan. At kailangan nila ng ayuda, pero ang Pangulo, sinabi po natin, binabalanse lahat ang tulong sa ating mga kababayan. Kaya nga po, hindi agad pinayagang magtaas ng pamasahe para po ang lahat dito ay makinabang din. Dahil nga nauna pong binigyan ng ayuda ang nasa transport sector. Ang kailangan lang po natin ngayon ay magkaroon ng pag-unawa, pag-intindi, at kumbaga lahat po tayo dito ay magtutulungan. Iwasan na po ng iba na manira, magbigay ng fake news dahil hindi po to panahon talaga ng pamumulitika.
That was Palace Press Officer Claire Castro.
Dateline Malacañang.
Malacañang on Thursday assured jeepney drivers and transport workers that no one will be left out of the government's fuel subsidy program, as agencies prepare a special payout for those who were not included in the initial master list. Presidential Communications Office Undersecretary and Palace Press Officer Claire Castro announced during a Palace briefing that the Department of Social Welfare and Development, or DSWD, and the Department of Transportation, or DOTR, will roll out a dedicated payout day for drivers who have yet to receive the 5,000 peso cash assistance under the DSWD's Assistance to Individuals in Crisis Situation program. Castro explained that some drivers were excluded from the original list due to issues such as duplicate entries, incomplete information, or failure to register with the Land Transportation and Franchising Regulatory Board, or LTFRB. She said these gaps are now being addressed to ensure all eligible beneficiaries are covered. She reiterated President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.'s directive that no one will be left behind in the distribution of aid, emphasizing that the special payout is part of the administration's effort to reach every qualified transport worker. Castro also advised drivers to prepare the necessary documents ahead of the scheduled payout to help validate their eligibility and speed up the process.
Ang sabi po ni Secretary Rex Gatchalian sa atin, ang lahat po na nakalista ay talaga mabibigyan po agad ng ayuda. Malamang po ang ibang nakalista ay meron po kasi daw nakakapagdoble. Let's say nasa tricycle and then nasa motor taxi pa rin. Yung iba po So ang kailangan lang po natin talaga ay makita po lahat ang listahan ng mga valid na mga beneficiaries. Pero ang sabi naman po ni Secretary Giovanni Lopez, akin pong babanggitin, Ito po ang kanyang sinabi. Sa mga hindi nalista at nabigyan na jeepney driver chuper, napagkasunduan na namin ni Sec Rex Gatchalian na maglalaan kami ng araw for special payout para makatanggap din ang mga nasabing chuper at driver ng 5,000 mula sa Cash Relief Assistance Program sa ilalim ng AIX ng DSWD. Maaari pong nagkaroon ng double entry o kulang ng detalye ang kanilang mga pangalan o kaya ay hindi naman narehistro sa LTFRB. Pero sa utos ng Pangulo, walang maiiwan. So malamang po ay kailangan lamang po nilang ayusin kung ang ilang mga dokumento para po makita po na sila po talaga ay valid na beneficiary at hindi po sila pababayaan ng gobyerno.
That was Palace Press Officer Claire Castro.
Dateline Malacañang.
Still on Thursday, Malacañang said the government continues to take proactive steps to support Filipinos and soften the impact of ongoing global challenges, particularly in the energy sector. Presidential Communications Office Undersecretary and Palace Press Officer Claire Castro highlighted the administration's swift and coordinated actions during a palace briefing. She noted that agencies have been working around the clock to respond to the needs of the public. Castro emphasized that the government is using a whole-of-government approach, with the Department of Energy, or DOE, closely coordinating with the Department of Foreign Affairs, or DFA, to secure alternative sources of fuel. She said the DFA is already in talks with several countries, including Canada and the United States, South American nations, and Russia, to explore additional supply options. To cushion the effects of the oil supply crisis on ordinary Filipinos, the government has rolled out a series of relief measures. These include free and discounted transportation for commuters, cash assistance and fuel subsidies for public utility vehicle operators, and fuel and fertilizer support for farmers and fisherfolk. The administration has also expanded the 20 peso rice program, now available in 627 centers, including Kadiwa outlets, to ensure access to affordable basic goods. Castro said these efforts reflect the government's commitment to act decisively and deliver assistance where it is needed the most.
Nakikita po natin kung ano po ang ginagawa ng gobyerno. Mas maaari na po ang ibang mga bansa ay talaga nahihirapan po sa nangyari sa sitwasyon, pero sa ngayon po nakikita niyo po kung paano kumilos ang gobyerno, kung gaano kabilis kumilos ang gobyerno, at kung gaano na rin karami ang ginawa ng gobyerno para sa ating taong bayan. At sa ngayon po, sabi nga na po natin ay ito ay whole of government approach. Nagtutulungan po ang bawat ahensya at sa matter of fact nga po, binanggit po ni Secretary Sharon Garin, pati po ang DFA ay nakikipagtulungan na po para makahanap ng alternative countries for the supply. Nandyan po ang Canada, USA, South America countries, including Russia. Yan po ay ayon kay Secretary Sharon Garin.
That was Palace Press Officer Attorney Claire Castro.
Dateline Malacañang.
And finally, the Office of the Ombudsman has assured the public that the assets of individuals linked to the controversial flood control scandal remain frozen. Assistant Ombudsman Miko Clavano said the assets cannot be touched even after the freeze order expires because the courts have already issued asset preservation orders. This development follows the filing of civil forfeiture cases by the Anti-Money Laundering Council against properties allegedly connected to the anomaly. Ombudsman Remulla also said their investigation and pursuit of those involved in the scandal are ongoing. He assured the public that they can expect accountability from those responsible in the coming months.
It's inaccurate to say na meron ng hold ang tao, ang mga respondent, dun sa pera nila. As long as meron pong asset preservation order na in-issue ng RTC. And in the cases that are mentioned in the articles, meron po tayong mga nakuhang asset preservation order. Ibig po sabihin, naka-freeze pa din po ang mga assets nila sa bangko.
That was Assistant Ombudsman Miko Clavano.
Dateline Malacañang.
Before we conclude our program, Radyo Pilipinas World Service of the Presidential Broadcast Service can be heard over the following shortwave frequencies: 12.020 MHz, 15.640 MHz, and 17.665 MHz. Radyo Pilipinas World Service is also live on audio streaming. Just download Evox PBS Receiver on your Google Play Store or the App Store from your Apple phone. You can also visit our Facebook page and YouTube channel. Just type in and search for Radyo Pilipinas World Service. Kindly subscribe, like, and share our posts as well. And that concludes this edition of Dateline Malacañang. For Radyo Pilipinas World Service, this is Leo Magpayo. Good day and stay safe.
From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.